tea or coffee, this morning is on Mumpreneurship, and we have just the person to help us unpack this conversation this morning. Now, in the studio with us, we have Mumpreneurs, popularly referred to as the Mumpreneur, women's rights advocate. She is a personal development and personal branding coach and trainer. She's currently the CEO of Branded.ng and creative director of Mumpreneur.ng, which is a networking, support, and capacity building platform for women, particularly mothers looking to strike a balance between their work life and the home front. She has worked with several brands and trained a lot of women on how to use digital skills and tools to project themselves and their work online. Mumpreneurs has bagged several awards and recognition. Good to have you in the studio this morning. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
I mean, I've been talking about your hair, which I'm going to bring on air and say, which I used to love. Super honored to have you in the studio with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, so the conversation this morning is on Mumpreneurship, and you do a lot of work in that space, right?
Yes.
So you are really the ideal person to help us unpack questions we have on Mumpreneurship. And part of our values on this program is to inspire, educate, and encourage people. So we will also like to speak to mothers and women out there, who are probably trying to get into the Mumpreneurship space. Now, we asked a question. Okay. We asked our viewers a question on if we asked them, are you familiar with the term Mumpreneur? So, for a basic definition, for a background, what is a Mumpreneur? Who is a Mumpreneur?
So a Mumpreneur is a mother who is running a business and caring for her home at the same time.
Right. Okay. Now, very interesting replies that we got answering, trying to define, Mumpreneurship. All right. So we're going to have a look at Ada. Ada from Imo State is replying back to the question we're asking this morning. Are you familiar with the term Mumpreneur? Ada is saying, I'm honestly not cool with being called a Mumpreneur. I was an entrepreneur before I became a mom, but now that I am a mom, all of a sudden I am called a Mumpreneur. I've effectively ran successful businesses before I was a mom, but back then I was simply a business owner. I don't think that's fair. I didn't start my current business because I'm a mom. I started because I love business. The business I'm running isn't just a hobby for me. My business contributes to the growing economy and creates jobs for members of our society.
I'd like to quickly butt in there.
Okay. All right.
Because actually there are a couple of moms who started business because they were moms, right? Like for me, I was in the 9 to 5, and it wasn't just working, the balance on the island, so I had to exit the corporate world. And I'm not the type to sit at home and do nothing. So I decided to start a business. So there are actually people who fall into that category. It's not about saying, because she was running a business already before she became a mom. Fine, bravo. But it doesn't take away the fact that there are some people who chose to go into business because they wanted to free up time to be there for their kids.
Does the definition still apply to her? Because she started as a mother, but now she's a mother and an entrepreneur. Does it still apply to her?
It's up to her. She's a mompreneur. But yeah, business owner, we are all business owners, it's fine. But we wear our mompreneur cape with pride because it was a decision that we made because of the role of being the primary caregiver in the home, right? So it's up to, if it works for you, because I see that she sees it as a derogatory term, but not necessarily. That's not what it is, right? Yeah. So she's a mompreneur, but she can choose to not wear that title.
To define herself
with that.
So, there's been a lot of reactions to these definitions of mompreneur, right? The viewers was actually asking, now, why is this conversation being gendered? Why is entrepreneurship being gendered? So there are diverse opinions and diverse reactions to this word mompreneur. Why an entrepreneur is an entrepreneur? It doesn't determine whether it's a man or a woman. So and you work in this space.
Yes.
Why is it important for us to acknowledge the definition of mothers who are entrepreneurs as mompreneurs? Why is it important?
So this is, the concerns are valid. We have all these gender conversations, and before we got on, I was telling you about some people who I know who identify as dadpreneurs because they're the primary caregivers in the home and they run their businesses. I'll tell you what, I started this whole mompreneur thing because there was a time my kids, you know, I was running a business when you've done a 9-to-5 for a long time and you come into business. So whether it's you start a fashion designing outfit, you start a gift consulting outfit, whatever it is. Many of these things that we do outside of a corporate job are not seen as professional, right? So like one time my kids, they were having this career day in school.
Right.
And so they said, okay, of course, they had the usual. Let's have the pilot, let's have the accountant. And you know, the children whose parents are in those spaces are proud and come and tell my mom is but the ones who their mom is a tailor, let's say, or fashion designer, they feel, you know, because the others they look very prestigious. And I just thought, look, tell them your mom is a mompreneur. And I have a T-shirt, I have a logo. I branded it. So I say, as a business owner who is a mom, it's an honorable thing. So we come out with our T-shirts and we proudly say yes. I mean, I remember my son came home and said, when his teacher was asking him, oh, what? He said, my mom is a mompreneur. And I said, what's that? You know, but he was, because they see the stuff that I do, I talk about it all the time. So he said, a mom who runs a business. And he was proud. Do you understand?
That is amazing.
Yeah, because, you know, sometimes, even as an entrepreneur, to be honest, you go, they have this career day, we are just projecting the other corporate, you know, seemingly professional jobs. A child whose mom is a business or whose father is a contractor or whatever, what space do they fit into? So that was, for me, that was why I decided to carry the mompreneur cape and project it so that there's that, I mean, to fill that space, to say, look, what we are doing is honorable. We are proud of what we do. There's no shame in it. Yeah.
Okay, so do you think it's something that is more peculiar, like, you know, the altering definitions, you know, trying to understand the definition of a mompreneurship? Is it something that is more peculiar to Nigeria, to the kind of culture that we have? Because, you know, I'm asking this because, you know, I've heard comments, you know, about how Nigerians don't feel dignity in the work that they do. For instance, you know, probably somebody who cleans in a corporate environment is not proud that they're doing that job, but it is a dignified job because you're earning a honest salary. So were you thinking about things like that when you were pushing for this campaign, or does it help, you know, is it the culture that we currently have at play, you know, that essentially enables that definition?
You know, interestingly, these things cut across. It's not, I mean, I've been in conferences and seminars outside Nigeria, and it's the same challenges that we have as moms that they have there too. And I'll tell you, mompreneur, it didn't originate from Nigeria. Okay. There's actually a book about momprenneurship written by someone, written by a Caucasian based in America. So they started the concept there. And I adopted it because I just felt, which box do I? So I was there, in between, you know, I just left the corporate world, trying to find my feet in the business space. How do I define myself? How do I label myself in a way that I can keep my head up and say, this is what I'm doing? So I saw it online, Mompreneur, and I said, wow, fantastic, that is just it. And I adopted it. And I started promoting and pushing it. So as much as our cultures differ, I think the problems that mothers face who run businesses cuts across. It cuts across.
Wow. That's, you know why I like the word mompreneur? Because, you know, as an entrepreneur that is, for instance, doing 4 things, working in 4 industries, and they're asking you, what do you do? It's like,
do you understand? When you asked me, didn't you see that I paused? There's something they say in Yoruba language, you know, they say, Kowope Nigeria Limited. You can't have one source of income and you have to balance it out. So you end up doing quite a number of things.
So can you just translate Kowope for me and
so that the money will be complete.
Yes, so that the money will be complete.
Let the money be complete.
Yes. All right. Let's have a look at another viewer's response to the definition of mompreneur. Now, John from Lagos is saying, I am not familiar, or I don't think I have ever heard the word before in my life. Please, what does it mean? Now, before we let's take Nini rather. And this is the gendered reply to the question, right? So Nini is saying, wait, so which one is mompreneur again? Since when did we start attaching gender to entrepreneurship? Females have started again. No, I thought entrepreneur is a generic term for everyone that doesn't do a 9-to-5. Someone that is involved in one business or the other. Which one is mompreneur? Now, last month was IWD, right? We celebrated women around the world, break the bias, etc., right? You know, now the conversations around feminism that I found interesting is that, for instance, there are women who understand feminism but don't subscribe to feminism, and I find that interesting, right? So, okay. Bless you, bless you. So based on our research that was carried out a while ago, right, in the United Kingdom, they found that when feminism was a new conversation in the 90s, they found out that a lot of housewives understood why women were fighting for these things, but they didn't want to define themselves according to feminists. So, you know, when we now bring that very interesting research to this context, you know, why wouldn't a woman understand why this term and the need for this term mompreneurship in your experience working in this space?
Okay, so like, why wouldn't they want to?
Why wouldn't a woman, you know, accept this definition?
Accept this term. Okay, so we have one example of Ada who says, I was an entrepreneur before, so why do you want to put me in a box? Whatever. But I mean, there are many reasons. Some people feel that you are being put in a box when you are labeled by your gender. Fair enough, it's a valid concern. But also, sometimes being identifying with a niche opens up opportunities for you, right? So the challenges that you face as a mompreneur are unique. They are different. You are the birth whatever in the whatever, you're the you know, so when you identify with that group, you are able to, because we have meetups as mompreneurs, we understand each other. I mean, there's some entrepreneurship in itself. It's tough. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. You know, sometimes you're like, oh no, who sent me? Why did I? Do you understand? So that's one side of it. And then you're now a mom. You have to raise kids. You're being judged. You go out, they're like, you left your children. I mean, there's this thing they always say, that women are expected to work as if they have no kids. And they're expected to parent like as if they have no work. So it's crazy. You know, so being in a group where people get you, where people understand you, their funds, the kind of funding that you need as a mom in business is different. The kind of so I was listening before I came on, and you were talking about Caribbean rap, you know, women in rap. There's some industries or businesses where most of the meetings and the activities are at night. Most, like the movie I launched, my premiere, I made sure the timing was earlier. Many people do all this night. I can't do the night thing. Do you understand?
Because of your reality.
Because of my reality. So we embrace our reality, face your reality, and make the most of it. And I think that's why the label for me is not something derogatory. It's because you are accepting, this is my reality. There's some things that other people who do not have kids or who are not the primary carers in the home can afford to do. I can afford to do them. Like women in politics, for instance. The meetings are middle of the night, you know. So, you know, when you need a pressure group to project, and that is one of the reasons why I shot the movie, to say, look, we're saying you want to help women, you want to help, but if you do not understand the challenges they face, if you do not understand the uniqueness of the things that they have to deal with, how do you even want to help them in the first place? A housewife is at home, you know, all day, and people imagine that she's just lounging and watching Z World. You hear people say that a lot of times. All they do is just watch Z World, but it's not a joke. It's mentally, I mean, they're taking, you're doing admin work, you're doing driver work for those who probably do not have school bus, you know. So there are these things we have to talk about.
It's very demanding.
It's very demanding. There are a lot of women who are depressed, who are about to lose it. Do you understand? Because nobody understands them. So those are some of the things that we need to put out there.
All right, let's talk about balance. Right. Now, before you came on, I was telling Robolade that I think it is almost impossible to strike a balance between being a full-time parent and being a full-time entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
You know, I was saying to Omobula Day that I feel like one will definitely suffer. So let's talk about balance.
Right.
How have you been able to strike a balance between your home and your work life, for instance?
You see, you are absolutely right. There's no such thing as balance. It's not possible. There's this, they say a woman can have it all, but not at the same time. Not at the same time. You have to understand the time and the season. So like someone who is raising toddlers, for instance, there are some things you can't do. When they're older, like now I have some older boys, they don't have my time, they don't send me. Sometimes I'm even too much in their space. So, I mean, if I didn't go and get a new toddler, I would have been somehow free. But I went to get another toddler, right? So what we promote more is integration. You just make it work. Like now I'm here with my toddler. He's out there watching YouTube. You make it work. So it's integration. You just juggle all of these balls. You say, you prioritize. What is important? What is most important for me now? Let that work, and then you let the others fall. Yeah. Sometimes you drop the ball, and it's not the end of the world.
Yeah. Right? All right. So very interesting case study, right? So I remember there was time we're taking a story on trending topics,
right?
And we found out that China have set a new policy where wives and women and mothers at home have to be paid an allowance by their male partners, right? So I want to talk about motherhood as a job. You know, motherhood as a job title, and you know, to bring the seriousness back into the conversation. Let's talk about environment. All right, let's talk about a thriving environment for women and mothers, right? The policies that are set in the country, the policies that are set in the labor market, the policies that are set in the workplaces, are they encouraging enough to make a woman decide to be a mompreneur? In your opinion?
No, we need to push for more friendly. I mean, there's the maternity leave one.
Yeah.
Paid or unpaid. I mean, I know a lot of people who have had to give up their careers. I mean, I tell people that it's not as if sometimes entrepreneurship is not even really a choice. Sometimes you're left with no choice, right? Because you just, I mean, once you have, nothing prepares you for motherhood. I'm telling you, there's no manual, there's no template anywhere. So once you find yourself there, you have to make some tough decisions. And they're you know, everybody just expects you to, like I said, they expect you to work like you do not have kids, and you're expected to, and then of course access to finance. There are so many issues that are not favorable for women that they need to, like I said, the kind of financing a mom would need might be different from what someone who is out there and does not have any of these things. So we need to look for friendlier policies that are flexible and, you know, favor the women. We just want, we're not saying we are, because I know that some people be angry, are they feeling so special? They're feeling so...
It's not even about
It's
that.
not even about that, please. We're just saying, see, this is it. We all had these children together. It's not only, do you understand? And I'm not saying, because sometimes some men are the primary carers. So that's what, so maybe the primary caregiver in a home needs to be cut some slack.
Basically.
Basically.
You know what? I completely agree.
Yes.
I completely agree. All right. So let's talk about support system, right? So we've spoken about the word mompreneurship, spoken about women who are actually actively mompreneurs.
Yes.
We've also spoken about environment. So lastly, let's speak on support system.
Right.
What is the role of a partner, the husband, for instance, for the context of this conversation, as a support giver for the mompreneur? What role do you think men, you know, husbands should play in supporting their wives as mompreneurs?
So is encourage them. Whether is, in fact, let's not even as a human generally, because we are supporting the men too. I know that, you know, being in the office, if the husband is the one who has a 9 to 5 and the wife is the mompreneur. I mean, I know that sometimes it can be very demanding at work. Sometimes you just want to come home and talk about your day and you want someone to listen. So vice versa. Sometimes you just want to talk about, you know, that client that has almost made you lose your hair and you want someone to listen without judging you, without saying, because I noticed that, you know, there's this, forget it, gender, there's gender in the way we think and all of these things. So sometimes women, I mean, women complain in the entrepreneurship space about how maybe their husbands look down on them for what they do, to say, is it not just a few millions, you want to kill, I better leave this thing you're doing, they're just playing, and look at it as a hobby. So like downplaying what they do, it really, really affects the mental health of women. They just feel like, well, it's not as if he sees it as if I'm doing whatever. And you know, sometimes maybe it doesn't work out. They're so quick to say, I told you so. Shebi, I just better leave this thing and go and sit down somewhere. So support them. You know, sometimes you might even be the one to give them a loan to build. Believe in their business. Be proud of them. Be there with them. I mean, it goes a long way. Also, even for the children, because they are watching, they are getting these vibes too. If you downplay what they do and make it as if, she's just maintaining one small shop there, the children too look at it like that. And that's why, like I said, the career day I went for, some children are ashamed to come out and say, my mom is a fashion designer, or my mom sells in a provision store, because they look at it as a shameful thing. And that should not be. So that support in terms of emotional, everything is not money, emotional, financial, if you can, because of course in this era we know how the economy is, but financial if you can, emotional, and then also helping in other things when you're available. That's all. Be there, be present.
It's been wonderful having you on the show this morning. But before we go, I really want you to encourage women and mothers out there, just as briefly as you can. That is your camera. I'm sure, you know, mothers who are watching the show, you're like, yes! So, you know, just a word of encouragement for them, please.
Okay, so I mean, if you're a mom out there who is running her business, I just want to tell you that you are enough. You're doing the best that you can. I am proud of you and I am rooting for you, right? Don't give up. Hang in there.
All right, super mompreneur Mofolisha Adeshonaike, thank you very much for coming on Tea or Coffee. I have learned as a man, and you know, when that time comes, I'm sure that I will support my woman.
Yes, please.
As I can. Thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
We are